Hey, what's going on there, everybody? This is Sammy Legger here representing TeamJVS, here to give you guys another series review. Here to talk to you guys about, believe it or not, years in the making, Goosebumps. I, I actually grew up in the era where the Goosebumps books came out. I think it's like early 1990. I think 92 was the first Goosebumps book, maybe before that. And so it was a series of books that came out by R.L. Stein. And then that preceded that was a slew of different shows. And from those shows and series, and then I think maybe like a few years back, there was like a movie that came out. Now we have a new incarnation of Goosebumps, where it's not completely a full reboot, but more so it's a collective of all the different Goosebumps books in some way, shape, or form to give you a clear and concise story. Now, I'm gonna preface it like this: I was always a Goosebumps fan. Okay, I'll say it like that. Like in the '90s, I was a Goosebumps fan. I think when they kind of came back with a resurgence, I think there was like what was the? It was one that was like it was a haunted something. I can't remember the name of it. Um, and of course, I looked at the shows, looked at the books, and I mean, that was when the era when like Are You Afraid of Dark was out. You know what I'm saying? So I was a fan then, but I can tell you with some nitpicks, I'm still a fan today because I looked at the first 5 episodes of this series, and I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I'm having a blast because it's not even over with yet. So this one is crazy because you don't really know what is happening, but you do if you read the books or if you remember the series, you can recall some of the certain themes and monsters and things that have happened in the past that are coming right back. Now, Justin Lin is playing one of the main characters in Mr. Brat. He's the person that's moved into this Brittle house where a lot of these different objects, so to speak, haunted objects, have now resurged themselves into the lives of these people. Now, the interesting thing about it is that he just moved there, but the kids that are in this is James, Jan, Isabel, Isaiah, and one other character. They all, Lucas, they all are kind of like going through the ringer, so to speak. They don't really know what's happening, but as you can see from just this picture right here, they get put through it. Now, this is the thing that it was kind of it scared me more than anything else because I didn't know how the tone would be. One of the things I liked about the original Goosebumps like books as well as even like the shows is that they of course can be campy, right? But they can also be very scary. They can also like thrill you and at times make you question what in the world is going to happen to these kids. And I love that because that is an actual feeling of impending danger. Not just that. I mean, talk about campy. I mean, this is Ryan Gosling. If you remember Say Cheese and Die, he was one of the main stars of the original one. This one right here is the Worms one, Go Eat Worms. And then this other one right here is the one that was the Cuckoo Clock of Doom. And again, all this is just, it looks so cheesy, but when it was shown, one of the things that I loved about the way the approach that R.L. Stein did for the show, as well as with the books, is that it was never clear if they were out of the woods. And I mean, that goes back to Hitchcock, that goes back to the Twilight Zone, and that was this for kids. And I think that the interesting thing with this one is it's not necessarily a kid's show. I think it could play off as that, but there are things that happen is very much so really dark. There's possessions going on. There's um a lot of messed up stuff. Like there's actually blood and stuff that's shown. Like I was really surprised by some of the creepy things that they were doing with this. And shout out to Justin Lane. Because with this one, Justin Long in this one, like I love the fact that he's going back and forth between being very creepy and being very normally awkward that he normally plays. He loves to play horror and comedy, and I think this is right up his alley. I think he's really nailing it. But I think that also the kids are doing a really good job as well as the adults, because the kids in this one, you have to like them. You have to want to see them either one progress or succeed. And right now they are failing. I'm 5 episodes in, and these kids are going through the ringer, like not even thinking about the fact of trauma and what's really happening and the internal battle that they're dealing with, which is their relationships with their families, their respective families. And I think that's one of the also the interesting themes about Goosebumps is that like family is one thing that can invoke a lot of different emotional damage and constrictions. And I think that they're taking that same exact concept and they're allowing that approach to bleed through within the context of the way that they're doing this show. I really am enjoying it. Now, the thing about it is that I've not seen this. I've not seen the Goosebumps movie. I can't even remember when it even came out. All I know is that the way that they're approaching this specific show, I think that if they play their cards right and they approach it in the way that they seemingly are, I think they could continue this for some time. Because it's like when the original show was coming out in the 90s, it was like episode for episode. It was kind of like if any of you people enjoy like American Horror Story, like American Horror Stories, right? Each one is its own anthology. So each episode was like boom, 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 but nothing was ever connected. Now, I think that this approach, I think is what the movie tried to do that came out in 2015. This approach absolutely is connecting it, and they can continue to expand that. One thing that I really loved about the Chucky series that's on Peacock right now, that's exactly what they did. They took a starting point and they're expanding it out and connecting all the dots. And I think that they can absolutely do that with this. So I'm just curious to see how the season ends, because right now all the kids are trying to discover how to get out, why they got into the situation, and who is lying and who is not, and also can they make it out unscathed. And if any of you guys, that's the other thing I do love about this. If any of you guys have even read, at least read, and this I think it's one of the first ones, the Haunted Mask, the Haunted Mask and Haunted Mask 2. If you've seen those are very tonally dark, but at the same exact time, it feels dangerous. And I think that I feel that throughout. Like all the classic little things, like if it's the math, the haunted mask, the camera, the worms, like they're all themes here. But I think that their approach to those specific themes are also spin off in a better way. Like specifically with the worms. Like when I looked at the worms episode, when it came out years ago, it was kind of like, this is really cheesy, but at the same time, it was it was pretty messed up how it ended. But it still was a little over the top. And the way that they handled, I think it was the fourth episode. The fourth episode in this series is probably one of the best because they tackle Lucas. Lucas as a character is dealing with like loss. He's dealing with depression. He's dealing with some other things that I don't want to spoil, but he's being enticed with something that you wouldn't expect from what you know about these worms. And the way that they approach it and how they merge characters like Margot into this and showcase certain things about like parents and selfishness and like sacrifice, but at the same that time consequences of actions. Like that was a really good. That was when I realized I was like, oh, okay, this is actually really good. Now the fifth episode when it came out, I think that the fifth episode goes back to that crux of you have to write it a certain kind of way to make sure it goes and progresses a certain kind of way, because there were certain characters that were just making stupid decisions. And I know that's every horror movie does that, but it was so blatant and it was so unnecessary that it demeaned one of the characters for me. And that's my only fault with this. Like, I think everything leading up to that, like, it was really believable. I mean, it was messed up. Like, I think the other thing about it is, I don't know how to say it. The comedy in this feels natural. Like, whether it's a slight interaction between, I don't know, let's take, who would be a good one? Yeah, Isaiah and James. Isaiah's best friend is James, and James is in love with a certain person, and they have these random catchbacks to their conversations, and it just comes off so natural. Like, I'm actually legitimately laughing and enjoying their banter in the midst of the foolishness going on. Long story short, without continuously ranting, I think that Goosebumps on Disney Plus, this could easily went on Hulu, and I felt the same way. If this was on Netflix, I feel the same exact way. But it happens to be on Disney Plus, and it's actually good. I think I'd highly recommend you go and check it out if you want to kind of be thrilled and a little scared. And if you remember Goosebumps, like, you're definitely gonna catch a lot of the references, not necessarily people, but I think that there are some things in store that yeah, you need to keep watching. I'm gonna continue to finish this out. Let me know what you guys think about Goosebumps. Have you already watched it? Are you enticed after me talking about it? I'd rate this at an A. I actually really enjoy it. I mean, it's either an A or A minus. I actually really am enjoying it. But I'll talk to you guys soon. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell button. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for checking out our coverage from New York Comic Con, New York Film Festival, as well as our coverage from TIFF and some other things. And we got a lot more coming up this week. All right. Peace, people. Filing out the top of I can see the skyline, 50-mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing on